I sit at home and finish watching RoboCop 2 for nostalgia reasons, and after playing Mortal Kombat 11 as RoboCop, I'm looking at all of the Easter eggs and all the movie references that Ed Boon actually compiled in his game, and you would have to be a RoboCop fan to understand how much that we appreciate that. Like, literally, his intros are filled with movie references, and it's very appreciated, because I'm about to tell you something about Mortal Kombat 11 that might just shake your world, and it truly blew my mind, because I thought about all the rest of the fighting games. I am like, out of all games besides sports, I'm a fighter. I love the fighter genre. So literally, Mortal Kombat 11 is the best fighting game that I have ever played, and there are many other games on this list, so let's get started. Now, I know a lot of you guys are gonna have your own say so in the comments below. Now, there are literally hundreds, dare say thousands of games that are fighting games, like Tekken, for example, that's in the market, and they're great fighting games, and they all bring something different to the table. But when it comes to which game is the best fighter of all time, you have to look at longevity, which Mortal Kombat has beat a lot of these games. Not all of them, of course. We're still seeing Tekken. The oldest fighter would have to be Street Fighter, which would be my number 2 game of all time. Killer Instinct. A lot of games, fighting games, stole from the Killer Instinct engine, the fighting style. The combos that you see in Mortal Kombat 11, a lot of that was stolen from the Killer Instinct game. You know, you could hit somebody like 20, 30 times. Yeah, that's where that all come from. So it took a lot of the iconic legendary games to be made in order to get the greatest fighting game, because graphically, I don't think there is no fighting game that is better than Mortal Kombat 11. It has 5-star. I'm going to be on a 5-star basis here with all of my comparisons. 5-star graphics. Smash Brothers, we can talk about that briefly. This is what you consider all out fun. This probably overall would be the funnest fighting game that was ever created. Let's give that award to Smash Brothers. Melee. Now, back to Mortal Kombat 11 and why it's the greatest fighting game. Graphically, it just blows your mind. Like, RoboCop looks dead on. RoboCop, they actually have the person that voiced RoboCop in the movie, Peter Willing, I think that's his name. He does the Alex character in the Mortal Kombat, and it's just amazing. And with this aftermath, we're talking, people, almost, we're 1 year and like 5 months into Mortal Kombat 11. What game has this type of longevity that could last that long, with the updates that keeps us going, and the characters, the updates, all 5 stars, because the towers update, like, if not daily, every other day. It's something going on in the Combat League. It is so much. The crypt is so deep. I mean, you think you found everything, then they upgrade it and just drop, more stuff for you to do. It is so time consuming, people. I mean, you could literally, I'm being honest with you, I spent months on Mortal Kombat and wouldn't play no other video game, and no fighter has had that effect. but Street Fighter, and here we are looking at that. And I'm not talking about Street Fighter 5. Many consider that to be the best out of all the Street Fighters, but Street Fighter 2 had me just not wanting to play anything else but my friends and go through all of the characters' story mode and watch the endings. Real fighting gamers know what I'm talking about. Very time consuming, graphically was the best, and control wise, like it was just, you could throw a Hadouken with ease on any console. So Street Fighter might be the most well-known fighting franchise around the world. Originally, the game was released in 1987, but Street Fighter V is the biggest game in the series, though, and like many other entries on the list, was met with negative criticism upon launch. Now, like I said, Street Fighter is my number 2 game of all time, Street Fighter 2 to be exact, but Mortal Kombat is the champ. It's just simply put, all these fighters, like I said, I have to give respect to, but there's a new king in town, and I didn't think Mortal Kombat would outdo Mortal Kombat 10 graphically. I was like, wow, this has to be their pinnacle graphically on the Xbox One and the PlayStation 4 because of the power. And then they pump out Mortal Kombat 11 on this gen, and it looks like a next gen fighter. I'll talk a little bit. The aftermath is just, I think that's the beginning for the next amount of characters that will be introduced. If they bring out 3 more characters, that game will definitely just be concreted as the greatest roster of all time, because you have to look at, you have one single game that you could play with the Joker, Spawn, the Terminator, RoboCop. That is just like, these are characters, only Mortal Kombat would do something like that. When they brought out Predator, Alien, Leatherface, Jason Voorhees, that was something, and they were giving nod to a lot of 80s movies and stuff. But to bring relevancy to it as someone like the Joker, who just had a movie come out, and then see him pay reference to that movie in a lot of his previous movies, and to see Terminator do the same. They did the same with all those characters that were in movies. You could actually see their likeliness from the movies, and Spawn looks dead on, and they actually have the guy that voices Spawn doing his voice. So I mean, just with those characters alone makes that game just so much fun to play. And let's not forget, it's like all of your favorite Mortal Kombat fighters are there. With them adding Fujin, to me, was just the pinnacle. Now, Dragon Ball Z is a great fighter as well, and it attracts a lot of kids, but you can't deny the fun, and you can't deny the graphics in this game. So that game is definitely a runner-up. The series of Dragon Ball games, all of them has been good, and you can't deny that, but it's not the greatest of all time. Now, Injustice 2, we could talk about that. Now, this game probably would be just as good as Mortal Kombat 11, because they do use that same engine, if it was due to characters, because we need more characters. There's no way they shouldn't have He-Man in this next Injustice. We want to see He-Man. We want you guys to go deep into the DC comics. Give us some people that we will be completely shocked, and then throw that monkey wrench in there and surprise everyone with some guest appearances. I mean, if you have to, pull some of those Mortal Kombat characters back, because you guys this is actually in my top 5 fighters of all time. I mean, their roster with Sub-Zero, Raiden, the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Hellboy. This was the best roster I've ever seen on any fighting game, but of course it came from the same creators. I wouldn't expect anything else, so this is like my fourth best fighting game of all time. Definitely would have got it, but the story isn't better than Mortal Kombat 11, and you can still play this and it's relevant to this day. But the thing about Mortal Kombat 11 is that they keep adding more. The replay value is sickening. Like I said, we are 1 year and 5 months after that release, and they have completely revamped it with the Aftermath. That's a brand new story mode, and for people that haven't played it or don't know anything about the story mode, it's amazing. It literally takes your whole attention to this story mode that you're in. They give you options like all the rest of the Mortal Kombat stories to play with several characters, alternate endings, so you have replay value in Mortal Kombat 11 like no other fighter. And I don't even want to talk about the skins, because there are so many skins in Mortal Kombat 11 until you could just target on, I mean, your whole entire day, your goal could be just, I'm gonna collect skins, and you still wouldn't get all of them. It's literally probably thousands of skins in this game. Now you're looking at MK10, which had the throne of being probably the best Mortal Kombat game to date, graphically as well as gameplay. But when it came to ranking Mortal Kombat games, I always thought of Mortal Kombat 1 and 2, because you can never ever truly defeat the original. So that's in a area of his own. I wouldn't even put that in this category, because the original games are just classic. That's in a classic area right there. But the longevity of the MK games, I truly respect, and a lot of people will not agree with this, but a lot of people will, because you have to give it to this game. This game keeps giving, and it has not played out. People are not tired of playing it. It's still selling like hotcakes, and they continue to bring the shock value of having us wait till the reveals are giving, and we don't know who will be revealed next. And you know, games like Soul Calibur as well are honorably mentioned in this, you know, because all of the Soul Calibur games were good. There's nothing really bad about them. They don't have that replay value, and it just don't. The story modes are not as breathtaking as MK11. Yeah, there's so many fighters. Now I have to talk about this game briefly. Ultimate Marvel vs. Capcom 3 is definitely in my top 10 as well. It did what everybody wanted, brought all the Capcom and Marvel fighters together. Only problem we ever had with this was the characters. There was some that we wanted, but there were more that we didn't want. So that thing has to be better. Like the next, hopefully the next Capcom versus Marvel, they would listen to the people and give the fans the characters that they want, because you know, they're throwing people in there that really pissed off a lot of people. In the replay value, they didn't have you coming back. You know, they brought out the Fate the Two Worlds. Then you have Ultimate Marvel vs. Capcom 3. Is basically the same thing, just adding 12 new characters. But yeah, you want to give the people the characters that they want, and it was a great game. Like I said, it's in my top 10. So many great fighters you can name. It's a non-going war, and a lot of people will say other games are better. But as of now, and I mean as of May the 30th, 2020, I can honestly tell you that Mortal Kombat 11 is the best fighting game I have ever played. Ever. Out of all these fighters that I play, and I have been playing fighting games ever since Street Fighter 2 came out. So I don't know. What do you guys think? Are you impressed with Mortal Kombat 11 for the replay value? How graphically it dominates and the amount of characters to play with? Like this video, leave your comments. Share this on social media and subscribe.